In this video, I'm about to show you 10 chicken salt brands in Australia you should avoid and 5 you should actually be using instead, starting with the brands that have been quietly shortchanging Australians on one of the most beloved seasonings in this country. Let's get into it. Number 10. Masterfoods Chicken Salt. I'll be honest, Masterfoods was in my pantry for years. It's familiar, it's everywhere. And when something's been on every supermarket shelf your whole life, you stop questioning it. I stopped questioning it too. Until I actually read the label. Masterfoods Chicken Salt lists maltodextrin as one of its primary bulking agents. And here's what that means. In real terms, maltodextrin carries a glycemic index between 85 and 105, which is higher than regular table sugar. For older Australians managing blood sugar levels, that's not a footnote. That's something hiding in a seasoning you're shaking onto food every single day. What really got me though was the chicken flavor source hydrolyzed vegetable protein. Not real chicken, not actual stock, chemically processed plant protein engineered to taste like chicken. Mars Food, the company behind Masterfoods, reported over $18 billion in global annual revenue in recent years. They are not cutting corners because they have to. They are cutting corners because the profit margin tells them to, and they're counting on you not flipping the bag over. I did flip it over. Now you know what's there. Number 9. Praise Chicken Salt Seasoning. Praise built its reputation in Australia on dressings and condiments that felt like the lighter option. And for a long time, I assumed that reputation carried across everything they made. I was wrong about that. When I looked into Praise Chicken Salt, the sodium number stopped me approximately 2,400 milligrams per 100 grams. The Heart Foundation of Australia recommends a maximum of 2,000 milligrams of sodium per day total. One generous shake, and you've already worked through a significant portion of that. But the sodium isn't even the part that bothers me most. What bothers me is the Flavor Enhancer Stack 621, which is MSG, sitting alongside anti-caking agent 551, which is silicon dioxide. These aren't dangerous in isolation, but when you're already dealing with a heavily processed product running high sodium numbers, the answer shouldn't be to pile synthetic additives on top. For anyone in this country managing blood pressure, and statistically, that includes millions of Australians over 55, this product deserves more scrutiny than its friendly label suggests. The health halo that Praise earned in the dressing aisle does not automatically extend to this. Number 8. Continental Chicken Salt. Continental is a Unilever brand. And when I say Unilever, I mean one of the largest food corporations on the planet. Over $60 billion in annual revenue, thousands of products, supply chains running through dozens of countries. That scale should mean higher standards. In my experience with their chicken salt, it doesn't. What I found when I dug into the formulation is that Continental's chicken salt leans almost entirely on yeast extract as its primary flavor driver. Yeast extract is essentially concentrated glutamates, the same family of compounds as MSG, just listed under a different name because yeast extract doesn't carry the same stigma on a label. It's a deliberate framing choice by big food companies, and Continental knows exactly what they're doing. The result is a product that overstimulates your taste receptors and keeps you reaching for the shaker. That's not a side effect, that's an outcome they've designed for. I also want to point out that actual chicken is listed so far down the ingredient panel, it barely qualifies as a component. The dominant ingredients are salt, yeast extract, and onion powder. This is glorified seasoned salt with a chicken salt price tag, sold by a company with a $60 billion annual revenue. That's not a supply chain limitation, that's a choice. Number 7. Woolworths Select Chicken. Salt Woolworths generated over $60 billion in Australian retail revenue in the 2023 financial year. I want you to hold that number in your head while I tell you what goes into their home brand chicken salt. I picked this up specifically to compare it against the branded options. And what I found was a flavor enhancer combination that I honestly didn't expect to see in a basic pantry product. Woolworths Select Chicken Salt uses flavor enhancers 627 and 631 disodium guanylate and disodium inosinate on top of MSG. These 3 compounds together are not an accident. Food scientists use this exact combination because 627 and 631 specifically amplify the effect of MSG, creating a flavor intensity several times stronger than any single additive alone. It's an aggressive flavor engineering stack inside a product being sold as a budget seasoning. When a company pulling in $60 billion annually puts a triple flavor amplifier stack in their cheapest chicken salt, they are not doing it for your benefit. They are doing it because it makes the product taste addictive at the lowest possible production cost. You deserve to know that. Number 6. Coles brand chicken salt. Coles and Woolworths between them control the overwhelming majority of Australian grocery retail, and their home brand products follow the same playbook. Keep the packaging familiar, keep costs low, and rely on shoppers not reading the label. I've read it so you don't have to. Coles brand chicken salt contains colour 150C ammonia caramel. Now, caramel colour has been in processed food for a long time. But Class 3 ammonia caramel is specifically the variant flagged in international food safety discussions because the manufacturing process can produce a byproduct called 4-methylimidazole or 4-MEI. California's Proposition 65 listed 4-MEI as a potential carcinogen back in 2011. Australian food standards haven't moved on it the same way, but the compound is still sitting in this product, in a seasoning that millions of Australians shake onto food multiple times a week. Coles operates over 800 supermarkets nationally. Using a colour additive with that kind of international safety history in a budget seasoning line isn't a resource issue, it's a standards issue. And it's one more reason I stopped buying home brand chicken salt. Number 5. Clements chicken salt. I want to be straight with you about Clements. This one is harder to talk about because it has genuine history and a loyal following, especially in South Australia where chicken salt is practically cultural. I'm not dismissing that. But loyalty to a brand shouldn't mean looking away from what's actually in the product. When I looked at the nutritional data on Clements chicken salt, the sodium reading came in at approximately 2,600 milligrams per 100 grams, one of the higher figures in the category. That alone is worth noting. But what I kept coming back to was the anti-caking agent, sodium aluminosilicate, listed as agent 554. That's an aluminium-based compound. Ongoing research into repeated low-level dietary aluminium exposure has raised questions, particularly in relation to neurological health in older adults, and while the science is still developing, the questions are real enough that I think about them when I see this on a label. I'm not telling you Clements is dangerous. What I am telling you is that a brand with this much regional trust and this much loyal history should be doing better with its ingredients than this. The trust is real. The formulation hasn't earned it. Number 4. Smith's Chicken Salt Seasoning Shaker. Smith's is owned by PepsiCo. Global annual revenue north of $90 billion. One of the most recognized snack brands in Australia. Their chicken salt seasoning shaker markets itself as bringing that takeaway chip shop flavor into your home kitchen. I tested that claim, and here's what I found. The flavor enhancer situation in Smith's chicken salt is the worst I've seen across this entire category. 621, 627, and 631 all present simultaneously, the full triple stack. I've explained what that combination does, and seeing it in a product from a company with PepsiCo's resources and food science capabilities tells me everything about their priorities. What made it worse for me personally was checking where chicken actually appears on the ingredient list. Chicken fat and chicken powder both show up well below the salt, maltodextrin, dextrose, and the 3 flavor enhancers. The chicken is almost decorative. It's there to justify the name on the label. For a PepsiCo product with this level of national distribution and brand recognition, engineering something where real chicken is an afterthought in a product called chicken salt is, and I mean this disrespectful to the Australians buying it. Number 3. MasterChef brand Chicken Salt IGA range, not the TV show. This is a private label brand running through IGA and independent supermarket networks across Australia. And I'll say this plainly, the name creates confusion that benefits the product. A lot of shoppers pick this up thinking there's culinary credibility attached to it. There isn't. When I went through the ingredient panel, 2 things stood out. First, modified starch is used as a flavor carrier, which sounds technical and harmless, but functions as a hidden carbohydrate source that may not be fully reflected in the nutritional panel, depending on how it's classified in the RECA. Formulation. Second, the primary flavor base is autolyzed yeast extract, which is another route to free glutamates without the MSG label. The same move I flagged with Continental. When you buy a seasoning from a brand whose name implies cooking expertise and receive a product built on salt, modified starch, and disguised glutamates, that's a gap between expectation and reality that someone decided was acceptable. I didn't find it acceptable. Number 2. Chicken Tonight Seasoning. Salt Chicken Tonight in Australia sits under the Ajinomoto umbrella, a Japanese multinational that is, somewhat ironically, one of the world's largest producers of MSG and amino acid flavor compounds. So when I tell you their seasoning salt contains flavor enhancer 635, that context matters. Flavor enhancer 635 is disodium ribonucleotides derived from yeast. In 2008, Australian food safety regulators received reports of adverse reactions specifically linked to 635 inches processed food products reactions, including skin flushing, itching, and hives in sensitive individuals. The compound isn't always labelled with the same visibility as MSG, which means a lot of consumers consuming it have no idea it's there. Ajinomoto, of all companies, understands exactly what these compounds do. They produce them at industrial scale. The decision to include 635 inches a mainstream retail seasoning without stronger consumer-facing disclosure from a company with that specific expertise is something I find genuinely hard to defend. This one lands at number 2 for a reason. Number 1. Chicken Salt Co. Bulk food service grade. At number 1, and I want to be specific here, I'm talking about the bulk food service grade product moving through restaurant supply chains and discount bulk retailers across Australia. Not a premium artisan product. This one earns the top spot because of the gap between what it represents and what it actually is. I dug into the formulation data on this product, and what I found was a base of approximately 50% sodium chloride by weight, with the remaining flavor composition built almost entirely on hydrolyzed soy protein, dextrose, and flavor enhancers 621 and 627. Real chicken content in many of the commercial formulations circulating through Australian food service is negligible. Independent tests by Australian food bloggers and professional kitchen reviewers have noted that the flavour doesn't develop or deepen under heat, which is exactly what you'd expect from a product relying on chemical amplifiers rather than genuine ingredients. This product ends up on plates in cafes, takeaway shops, and pub kitchens all over Australia. Most people eating it have no idea what's in it. That's the part that bothers me most. Not just the ingredients, but the invisibility of it. Alright, that's a lot of frustrating information, and I know it can feel like there's nowhere safe to turn. But here's the thing, there are brands out there doing this properly. Real ingredients, honest labels, actual chicken. I went looking for them specifically so I could bring them to you, and these 5 are genuinely worth your money. Number 5. Maitani Chicken Salt. Maitani is a South Australian brand that has been quietly doing the right thing for years while the big players cut corners. I was genuinely pleased when I found this one because the ingredient list is short, readable, and built around actual chicken powder, not hydrolyzed proteins, not yeast extract dressed up as flavor. The sodium sits around 2,100 milligrams per 100 grams, which is noticeably lower than most products on the avoid list. No synthetic colors, no aluminium-based anti-caking agents, no flavor enhancer stacks, just clean, honest seasoning that delivers what it promises. South Australians have known about Maitani for decades. I think the rest of the country deserves to know about it too. Number 4. Gourmet Garden Chicken Seasoning. Gourmet Garden is Queensland-born, Australian-owned, and their chicken seasoning is one of those products that makes me genuinely optimistic about what's possible when a company actually prioritizes ingredients over shortcuts. No flavor enhancer 621. No 627. No 631. The flavor comes from real herbs, onion, garlic, and a genuine chicken powder base. It's certified gluten-free, it's stocked in Coles and Woolworths nationally, and it sits at a competitive price point alongside the brands I just told you to avoid. When an Australian-owned business can produce something this clean for the same price as a multinational cutting corners, the choice is obvious to me. Number 3. Hoyt's Chicken Salt. Hoyt's doesn't have a massive marketing budget, and it doesn't have a multinational corporation pushing it onto shelves. What it has is a straightforward, honest product that I actually trust. Real chicken extract, not hydrolyzed vegetable protein, not yeast extract, actual chicken extract listed near the top of the ingredient panel where it belongs. The sodium is moderate. The flavor holds up during cooking, and there are no synthetic flavor enhancers anywhere in the formulation. When a seasoning tastes better cooked than it does straight from the shaker, that's a sign the flavor is coming from real ingredients rather than compounds that burn off under heat. Hoyt's passes that test. Most of the brands on the avoid list don't. Number 2. East West Gourmet Chicken Salt. East West Gourmet is a Victorian brand with a growing following among Australian home cooks who read labels. And once you try this product, you understand why. Free-range chicken powder is listed as a primary ingredient, not buried at the bottom, not present as a trace component to justify the name. They use turmeric for color instead of synthetic caramel dyes, which gives the product a natural warmth that you can actually taste in the finished dish. No MSG, no flavor enhancers 627 or 631, No modified starch. Someone thought carefully about the person on the other end of this label. I can tell. That kind of care is rarer than it should be in this category, and it deserves recognition. Number 1. Gewürzhaus Chicken Salt. Gewürzhaus is a Melbourne-based spice merchant, and their chicken salt is the best product in this category that I've found in Australia. Full stop. Free-range Australian chicken is the lead flavour ingredient, not a substitute, not a workaround. Actual chicken. The salt base blends sea salt with native Australian ingredients. There are no artificial additives, no flavour enhancers of any kind, and no synthetic colouring agents anywhere in the product. At around $12 to $15 per jar, it costs more than a supermarket option. I know that. But you are paying for a product made by a small Australian business that genuinely cares about what goes into their seasoning, and in a market where multinationals are running triple flavour enhancer stacks and aluminium-based additives through products they call chicken salt, Gewürzhaus is the answer to all of that. This is the one I keep in my kitchen. It's the one I'd recommend to anyone.